All right, let's dive into some Toltec wisdom today.
Sounds good to me.
We've got these audio excerpts from this book, and it's really fascinating, how the Toltecs view reality.
Oh, yeah.
So get ready to have your mind kind of blown a little bit. We're going to be exploring how our beliefs, especially the ones about ourselves, shape our whole experience of, well, everything.
Yeah, I mean, it really boils down to this. The Toltecs think that suffering, it comes from believing lies.
Hmm.
And not just any lies, but the ones we tell ourselves, the ones that make us feel like we're not good enough.
That's deep. That's really powerful. I mean, it makes me think of how the Toltecs interpret the whole Adam and Eve story.
Oh, right.
Not literally, of course, but as this powerful metaphor for how we humans, relate to knowledge and truth.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we're tempted by the fruit of the tree of knowledge,
Yeah.
right? But, that represents all the beliefs and ideas we kind of pick up along the way. And the real danger is eating the fruit. Accepting lies as truth.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, it's like we create this inner tree of knowledge in our minds,
I see.
but it's all poisoned by falsehoods.
So all these falsehoods, that's what leads to that feeling of separation, right?
Right?
Feeling flawed or incomplete, like something's missing.
Exactly. It's like the idea of original sin, but it's not about some moral failing.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about how we humans, we tend to believe lies, especially about ourselves.
Mm.
And that becomes the root of, well, a lot of suffering.
There's this story in the book, the author talks about his grandfather, a Toltec wisdom keeper, and the grandfather says that the real conflict isn't good versus evil.
Oh, interesting.
It's truth versus lies.
Wow.
That really struck a chord with me.
Yeah, it's a really profound insight. And the grandfather, he goes on to say that when we believe lies, especially about ourselves, that creates suffering and injustice.
Right.
But when we live in truth, it leads to goodness, love, happiness, all the good stuff.
It makes me think about my own childhood. I was such a free spirit, back then.
Mhm.
But as I got older, all those societal expectations, they started creeping
I
in.
hear that.
And it was like I started believing this lie that I wasn't okay as I was.
Oh, yeah, the author describes a similar thing. He talks about how all those external messages, they shape how we see ourselves. All those ideas about success, fitting in, achieving this perfect version of ourselves.
Right.
And it creates this constant striving for perfection, which, let's be honest, none of us can ever really achieve.
Yeah, no kidding. And those messages, they all carry the same underlying lie, you're not enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a silent script that we're all programmed with. And it just leads to self-rejection and this endless chase for something that doesn't even exist.
That's the lie of imperfection at work.
Mm.
It's so insidious. And we think about how much energy we waste trying to live up to all those external standards, like those arbitrary definitions of success and worthiness.
Yeah. Well, the author had this incredible experience in the desert that really, shattered his dream.
He's drained.
Yeah, his individually constructed reality. He was looking up at the stars, and he had this profound realization of interconnectedness. Like he saw the force of life flowing through everything, this light that makes up both the stars and, his own body.
So it's like, imagine your mind is kind of like a VR headset. It's creating this personalized simulation, but it's all based on your beliefs.
Okay.
That's what the Toltecs called the dream. And what the author experienced in the desert, it was like he took off that headset
Mm.
and he was seeing reality for what truly is.
Wow. He stepped outside the limits of his own story and glimpsed this bigger picture, and he realized his own inherent perfection as part of creation.
Exactly. And such a powerful example of how our perceptions can be distorted by the lies we believe, right?
Mhm.
It makes you wonder, what dreams are we holding on to?
Great.
The ones that keep us from seeing our own perfection and the interconnectedness of it all.
Yeah, it's like we live in this world where, we're constantly bombarded with these messages that tell us you're not enough, you need to change, improve, strive for something more.
Right.
And we internalize those messages and they, shape how we see things and even control our emotions.
And speaking of emotions, the Toltecs had this really unique perspective on them.
Yeah.
They see them not as something to be suppressed or controlled, but as a direct expression of our integrity, almost like a compass guiding us towards truth.
That's so interesting. It's so different from how we're usually taught to, deal with our emotions, especially the difficult ones. Like we're told to just get over it or toughen up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the Toltecs believe that every emotion we feel, it's real, it's authentic, it's coming from a place of truth. And those emotions are a direct response to our perceptions. both of the external world and our internal world of thoughts and beliefs.
So if we're always feeding ourselves those lies, from the voice of knowledge, that inner critic that's always like, you're not good enough, it's no wonder we feel emotional pain. Right.
Yeah, totally. It's like our emotional body, it's trying to tell us, hey, something's wrong here. You're being abused by your own mind.
Right.
And that pain, it's a signal, a wake-up call to start questioning those beliefs that are causing it.
It's like that analogy the author uses with the dog. If you treat a dog with love and respect, it'll be happy, it'll be affectionate.
Mm.
But if you're constantly mistreating it, it becomes, fearful and aggressive. And it's like our emotional bodies, they react in a similar way to how we treat ourselves
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally.
Absolutely. And it raises this really important question. If our emotions are just a reaction to our perceptions, and those perceptions are often distorted by the voice of knowledge, how do we break free from this cycle of suffering?
Well, the author suggests that the key is recognizing that we don't need to learn how to love because we are love. It's our natural state. But, we've learned to repress it because of all those lies we've come to believe about ourselves and the world.
Think back to when you were a kid. Remember how we experienced love so freely and effortlessly back then?
Yeah.
It's only later, as we're exposed to all those external messages and societal expectations, that we start to doubt our worthiness of love, our capacity to give it and receive it.
It's like we build these walls around our hearts to protect ourselves from getting hurt, but we end up blocking out the love that's always there.
Yeah. And that's where the Toltec teachings are so powerful. They remind us that we have the power to choose which beliefs we invest our faith in. We can choose to believe the lies that keep us trapped in all that pain and suffering. Or we can choose to believe in the truth, in our own inherent goodness, our interconnectedness with everything, and our natural capacity for love and joy.
So it's about taking back control of our inner narrative and creating a story that empowers us instead of limiting us.
Exactly. And the more we align ourselves with truth, the more our emotions will reflect that alignment. We'll experience more peace, more joy, more love, not because we're forcing it, but because we're removing those obstacles that have been blocking those natural expressions of, who we really are.
So instead of trying to suppress our emotions, we can use them as a guide. If we're feeling anxious or stressed, we can ask ourselves, what beliefs are causing these feelings? What lies am I buying into? And then we can start to consciously shift our perspective to align with a more truthful, a more empowering story.
It's a process of self-discovery, peeling back all those layers of conditioning, those limiting beliefs that we've picked up over time. It's about reclaiming our power as the creators of our own reality, both internally and externally.
And here's the amazing thing. As we do this work, as we dismantle the lies and embrace the truth, our relationships, they transform too. We become less reactive, less judgmental, more compassionate, not just towards ourselves, but towards everyone around us.
Yeah, we start to see beyond the masks that
Yeah.
people present to the world. We recognize the shared humanity beneath it all, the spark of divinity that's in each and every one of us.
It's like the author said in the book, I don't care if your story doesn't agree with mine. I love you and I enjoy your presence.
Mm-hmm.
What a beautiful expression of acceptance and respect, just recognizing that we're all on our own unique journeys, and that's okay.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean we just become passive or that we condone harmful behavior or anything. It just means that we approach others with an open heart, with a willingness to understand their perspective, even if we don't agree with it.
Because ultimately, how we see others, it often reflects our own internal landscape, our own beliefs, our own biases. And as we do the work of clearing out our own inner, junk, our relationships naturally become more harmonious, more fulfilling.
Like the Toltecs say, change yourself and the world will change around you. This deep dive has really pushed me to think differently about my relationship with knowledge, with truth. It's so easy to get caught up in that voice of knowledge and believe those limiting stories we tell ourselves. But the Toltec teachings, they offer such a powerful antidote: awareness, skepticism, and a commitment to aligning ourselves with truth, both within and without.
And it's amazing to think, this journey of self-discovery, it's not just a solo thing. It actually impacts the whole, collective dream of humanity.
Oh, for sure. That's a big part of what the Toltecs teach. We're all co-creating this dream of reality, right? Our individual stories, beliefs, actions, they all contribute to this, larger tapestry of human experience.
It's remember that line from the Iliad, the one the author mentions, where the gods are talking and they say, we'll live as long as humans believe in us.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's wild to think about. Our beliefs collectively have so much power to shape the world.
Absolutely. If we're just unconsciously buying into lies, letting the voice of knowledge run the show, then we're basically spreading those lies
Yeah.
on a collective level.
But the opposite is true too, right?
Totally.
If we challenge those lies and choose to align ourselves with truth, we're like contributing to this shift in consciousness. We're becoming part of a movement towards a more authentic way of being.
Exactly. It's like the Toltecs are giving us a blueprint for a collective awakening,
Mm.
reclaiming our power as, conscious creators, using it to weave this more beautiful, more truthful dream for ourselves and, all of humanity.
So even if we're feeling overwhelmed by like the state of the world or powerless, with so many challenges out there, the Toltecs remind us change starts within.
Right. It starts with us taking responsibility for our own beliefs, our own thoughts, actions. Every choice, even the small ones, they create this ripple effect.
It all goes back to that personal accountability, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, this whole deep dive, it's been such an eye-opener for me. It's made me look at the world and myself in a totally different way. And honestly, it's given me a lot of hope knowing that we're not just victims of circumstance. We're active participants in creating the reality we want to see.
I hear you. And if this deep dive has resonated with you, if these Toltec teachings are speaking to you, keep exploring. Dive deeper into the book. Connect with others on a similar path.
Right, find your tribe.
Yeah. And most importantly, start paying attention to that voice of knowledge in your own life.
It all comes back to that awareness.
Absolutely. Listen to that inner chatter, question it,
Yeah.
and then make choices that align with your true self, with the truth that's in your heart.
Beautiful, Dex. Well, as we wrap up, any final thoughts?
I'll leave you with this and something to ponder. If the voice of knowledge is so strong, always shaping our perceptions, influencing what we do, how can we become more aware of it in our daily lives?
Hmm.
How can we reclaim our power to create a story based on truth, love, authenticity? That's the real question, right?
Powerful stuff.
Mm.
Really makes you think. Well, I hope this has been insightful for everyone listening. And, I hope it guides us all as we navigate life and create a more beautiful, truthful world together. Together.